Can I now ask the Right Honourable John Smith, before unveiling the pledge, would like to address or say a few words to you. Right Honourable John Smith.
Lord and Lady Mayoress, Leader of the Council, colleagues and friends, thank you very much for giving me the privilege of joining you on this very happy occasion for the opening of this new sports hall. I'm delighted to be in Bradford once again and to see a multicultural centre being established and flourishing in this community. I believe we should have many multicultural centres because we want to build in this country a multicultural country. And I can tell you that is what the Labour Party stands for. We are the determined and ruthless opponents of racism wherever it appears in our country. The principles of our party and of our philosophy lead us to the belief that people are what is important, and that colour, creed, income, status are all irrelevant to the human situation, that we're all brothers and sisters of each other, all living in one community, one world, all responsible for each other. So it's a great pleasure to see these principles being applied in practice here. And I would like to thank those responsible for this initiative. For the Bradford City Council, who are a very progressive local authority, who look after the interests of everyone in the community. And I would like to say to Jerry Sutcliffe how proud the National Labour Party is about the local achievements of Bradford City Council. I'd like also to thank the sports bodies and all the other bodies, and indeed the local community, for the contributions they have made to make this a success. I think this whole centre is an excellent institution. Not only are you now able to provide sports facilities, but you're also able to give classes and to build up people's self-confidence by improving the skills that they can develop. All done in a friendly and welcoming atmosphere. And of course, the community itself has taken responsibility for making sure that this is a success. And I've always found that if you give people responsibility, they respond to it. If you trust them, give them a good set of principles, give them some equipment, and hand it over to them, they are the best people to run it, because they will cherish it, they will care for it, they will make it a success. So this, I think, is an exercise in community democracy, as well as an exercise in community improvement. And we can go on, of course, to build a better society. That is what, after all, politics is about. There's not much point in political activity unless it leads to a better society. Strengthening families, strengthening communities, and strengthening society. Now, I believe the family is the building block of all good societies. And we have to strengthen our families in this country. Now, there are some people, some who occasionally use a phrase called back to basics, who have a certain view about how families and people should develop. But in my party, the Labour Party, we take a different view. We believe that families are vital. But what families need above all else is not patronising lectures from politicians, but what they need are jobs for themselves and for their children. Good homes to bring up their families. A good health service open to everyone in the community, irrespective of their income, their race, their creed, or their gender. And of course, good pensions, good welfare systems that show that we are a caring and a compassionate society as well. And the message I've been bringing on a tour right throughout this country, which I and my colleagues are taking to make sure that our message reaches every part of Britain, is that there are three things this country needs above all else. The first is economic revival, getting our people back to work, getting back to investing in industry, investing in technology, above all, investing in the skills of people. Skills of people that are the raw material of our success. And I believe that we need to use the power of the community to give opportunities to individuals. As we want to create in this country the best educated and trained workforce in Europe. And that is the best thing we can do to make our country strong and give people the chance to get back to work and create the wealth which we can then use to build better social societies, get the very best of schools, the very best of hospitals, the best of community care, particularly for the disabled and the elderly and the other people to whom we have a special obligation, an obligation to see that they are properly part of our caring community. The second part of our message is renewing democracy in this country. That is why I like to come to see what local authorities are doing. Because what we've seen over recent years is a government drawing in power to the centre, taking it away from Yorkshire, taking it to Whitehall and Westminster, and undermining the local authorities, cutting back the money that they can spend, circumscribing the powers which they have. Now, I believe that local communities should have the power to take action themselves to improve their own areas, which is why we believe that there needs to be a rebirth of local democracy, local government in this country, and the next Labour government will make that one of its principal objectives, restoring power to the people, bringing it back to the people. Now, the alternative is the Quango society that we see being perpetrated by the Tory government, setting up their appointees to run hospitals, their appointees to run training councils, their appointees to run everything in our society. By 1996 there will be something like 7,000 Quangos in this country responsible for spending 1/5 of all public money. Well, that's not the way to run this country. We should run it according to democratic and accountable lines. And that is why Labour will renew our democracy and make sure that our democracy works by bringing power back to the people. And thirdly, to create a new opportunity society. A society in which every single person gets the chance to develop their talents. But it doesn't matter when it comes to education, what your background or your income is. If you want to get, and your parents want you to get the very best education, then it should be available, which is why we stand unequivocally behind state education, because state education is the only way to give opportunity to everyone in this country. I myself am the beneficiary of a splendid state education. If people had not created the state education, I would not have got the opportunities that I have had. And I want to make sure that every single citizen in this country gets the same opportunities, starting with nursery schools. And they are very, very important. And that's one of the Labour Party's clear commitments, that we will open the opportunity to nursery education to everyone in this country. And starting from the nursery schools, right throughout school, universities and colleges, as far as people's talents will take them. Part of that opportunity in good society is the National Health Service that is operating according to the principles of its founders. I believe one of the finest things that Labour did for this country was to institute the National Health Service, where we set forth the principle and made it a reality that it didn't matter who you were or where you came from, the fact that you were a human being entitled you to the very best of health care. Now, isn't it ironic that when the President of the United States is now trying to set up a health service in Britain, we've got a government in this country that's trying to go backwards to what the United States is trying to get rid of. Because there is no room for commercialisation or privatisation that is going to disrupt our National Health Service, and we will fight to make it the health service that it was founded to be, the health service that we are proud to have in this country. It is part of that good society, that caring society. And it's a society that will bring security to people, that will give opportunity to people. Now, all these things are possible. They can be done if we have the will to do them. And the Labour Party is proud to stand on that programme and to bring that message to the people of this country. Because we can be back at work, we can have a strong and vigorous economy, we can use the wealth we create to create new opportunities, new security, new prospects of building a better society. I think the worst thing that Mrs. Thatcher ever said was when she said there is no such thing as society, there are only individuals and families. Just think about that. If you put the word community or the word country instead of society, you see what a dreadful thought that is. Well, we believe in a society. We believe in families, in communities, and in a strong society, all bound together by our common humanity and by our care and concern for each other. Now, these are better principles of government, better principles of action than those that have been governing us in recent years. But there's a movement of opinion in this country now, a strong movement of opinion that's moving towards these better objectives, wants to embrace these ideals, which is why I think we're going to see some major political changes in the elections that are upon us. And those of you who accept these ideas, who share these ideals, I hope you'll join with us in making sure that we have successes in that election. In the elections in May and in the elections in June for the European Parliament. However, you'll forgive a politician straying into politics. If I get such a good audience as I've got here tonight, I'm not going to miss this afternoon, I'm not going to miss an opportunity to put the Labour Party's message to you. You would expect no less from the leader of the party. But I'm really here to see some of these ideals expressed in action at the opening of this sports centre. I wish every success to those who run it. I hope it is used by every part of the community, and I'm sure that there will be great enjoyment got here. Thank you very much for letting me come amongst you. I hope I'll be able to speak to some of you after I've unveiled the flag. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to share in an exciting experiment, which I hope will be starting here in Bradford, but maybe copied throughout the rest of our country. Thank you very much.